You've nothing to worry about.
So I sat here Monday evening after getting in a couple rounds of PUBG, and after everyone else got off, I sat there thinking to myself what to play next. I could always play one of the 100 games in my Steam backlog, but I didn't really care for that. I was yearning for some social interaction, something I can achieve a goal in and just be content for the night. But then it got me thinking back to middle school. I used to come home and run to the computer just to load up Mabinogi. Crazy thing is, I never hit max level or was fighting my way to the top of some obligatory leaderboards. I was just sitting at a campfire with 8 random people playing the loot and talking about random stuff. I look back now at myself, now a functioning adult in society, and wondering what exactly happened to this genre that I love so much, MMOs. Every day, you see a new game getting slapped around with a massively multiplayer tagline. The Division, Destiny, for fuck's sakes, just looking up MMOs, the first games you get are Absolver and Overwatch. Why is everything called an MMO nowadays? What changed the landscape so much? Most people, including myself, would chalk it up to the massive success of World of Warcraft in 2004. There's no escaping it. There were commercials everywhere, parodies, it was in pop culture, and chances are, if you weren't playing it, you knew somebody that was, or you at least knew about it. By the time I started playing online games in 2008, WoW already had an unprecedented 10 million subscribers. Being the broke, no job having middle school I was, I couldn't convince my overprotective mother to let me play with strangers on a virtual world with the swipe of her credit card, so I took the more costly options. That's where Mabinogi and frankly most Nexon and anime MMOs came into picture. I bring up Mabinogi because it's the first experience with the genre and the one with the biggest rose-tinted glasses I have. I remember going through dungeons with people getting wiped. The combat was different and rewarding to hit. Seeing people with better gear made your mouth drop in awe, and trust me, they knew. It was exactly like the tagline was. It was a fantasy life. You would often log on and see the same people in town and they would remember you. People would dance and trade and just hang around. You only heard rumors of secret arenas where you can fight each other or shadow dungeons. It was an amazing experience, and I still talk about it fondly with real friends to this day. With the success of WoW, you can already tell other companies were going to try their hand at the genre as well. It seemed like a new MMO was releasing every week. Everyone was trying to cash in on the giant cash pile that WoW had became, and most straight up copied the formula that WoW invented and threw in a couple unique features. To the point that now if you were to browse the MMORPG subreddit, you will find at least 5 people bitching looking for a new MMO, listing out a giant plethora of games and the problems they have with everything. The saturation of the market of subscription-based MMOs saw a stark climb and changes to free-to-play, all around the closings of MMOs as well. The biggest offender would be DC Universe Online, that being released in January 2011 and going free-to-play in just 10 months. Market trends show that most MMO players weren't shelling out for a monthly sub for an MMO, let alone 2 or more games, purchasing the games and expansions. But researching is hard to pinpoint exactly where the free-to-play model started to rise. I can see around like 2012, 2013 is the closest thing we'll see to a free-to-play leap, with the year's largest switch from free-to-play games like Terra, Rift, Star Wars The Old Republic, and the granddaddy of MMOs, EverQuest. EverQuest 2 already made the leap 2 years ago. Another factor I could release is the juggernauts such as League of Legends in 2009, and by 2012 already had 12 million daily active players. That's more than WoW at the moment. And by the October 2012, that number skyrocketed to 32 million. This gave rise to the mobile craze that we still see to this day. It's 2014, arguably the biggest MMO of the year, ArcheAge is released with much fanfare, garnering over 2 million players on only a month into its launch. The game offered naval combat, battlegrounds, a robust trading and open world PvP system with an actual battlegrounds. Players can own tangible pieces of land and steal from one another. Combat was fluid. To most people, including myself, it was the MMO we were looking for. It did get influences from its predecessor, but it was so unique to itself. It was the first time since Mabinogi that I felt at home. I'll never forget the first time I was at sea helping guild members deliver trade packs when pirates attacked, gliding around the map in the empty zones looking for illegal farms, or my favorite memory, jury duty. Yes, jury duty. Too many ArcheAge lit the flame in our hearts that we didn't know that we missed. Then we saw the cash shop. ArcheAge is synonymous with pay to win, a term known for those being able to pay with real world money in order to gain an advantage over others. I won't go over what made ArcheAge pay to win because there's already a million videos about that, and that isn't the topic at hand. But this game broke many people's hearts, including myself. Around this time as well, I was an avid League of Legends fan. just finally escaping my addiction when I realized I was doing something I never did before in MMOs. I was researching. Often in League of Legends, I would look up for the best builds and guides to play roles better, counters to champions. I knew the game inside and out and knew exactly what to do with each hero and how to build them a certain way. I found myself doing this not only in ArcAge, but every MMO after the fact. Before the game was even in beta or full release, I knew the most optimal route to level, the fastest way to get good, the best skills to do for the role, best rotations. I knew about the game before I even got to experience the game. Now I wasn't playing games to experience a virtual world, I was playing games to fill the void that League of Legends left in me. I yearned for PvP and always looked for the next game and what PvP features they had. I barely communicated with people, only joining guilds if it benefited me. I say this because now, as I realized what I was doing and how it was hurting my experience with MMOs, I decided to play the next game blind. No research, just go in and experience the game for myself. That game I tried was Guild Wars 2. By this time, I was a senior in high school working as a barista at the local Starbucks. A customer recommended I play it after hearing me talk about video games. From what he told me, I was hooked. Server versus server PvP in these giant zones with thousands of players fighting for territory, instance PvP with a competitive edge like League, dungeons, raids, and randomized dungeons called fractals. I bought the game and began to play it immediately. I got to about level 30 or so from the world and became bored with the heart quests looted everywhere, so I hopped into PvP. From there I was hooked. I leveled up at least 3 characters to max level strictly off of PvP and World v World. After getting to max level and finally equipping the gear I got from PvP, I decided to finally run PvE. I completed most dungeons in one raid. I did a crap ton of fractals too, but something seemed off about it. I did it without being in a guild, I did it without really talking to people. And the content the game had to offer, I didn't talk to anybody else. And that's when it hit me. Ever since I was 13 years old, even now to this day, I wander from MMO to MMO, not sticking or finding a home for years to come. Not because the game wasn't good, not because I grew out of the genre, but because I became antisocial. Gaming trends and the normalization of the MMO made me not need to play with other players unless I had to. It got to the point that MMOs had solo content, strictly for you. What's the point of calling it a massively multiplayer game if I don't have to do anything with players unless I absolutely have to? I only see or interact with players unless I want to, unless I need something from them. It's a grim contrast to what I remember from my middle school days. Even listening to older friends tell me about stories they made through MMOs or wild experiences they had in dungeons, and it's not just there, they're still friends with those people. The MMO is dead. There's nothing we can do to stop it. The game will continue to be simplified, boiled down, and shut out, and the only ray of hope we have is from others who thought like me and decided to make their own MMOs. But I love to call bullshit out when I see it. The shiny bells and whistles of it will be like the old days, you'll have this mechanic and players will be forced to interact by this mechanic. I don't buy it. The MMO community is a nomadic tribe. We move as a pack looking for our next meal and we feast on it until there's only bones left, and then we move on. Even these crowdfunded MMOs won't stop the cycle. I know telling my story with MMOs has probably been similar to a lot of you guys watching. We've all made mistakes and we can try to change our ways, but it won't change anything. The idea of an MMO has expanded past the virtual world. When most MMO news sites cover PUBG, Destiny, and Xenoverse 2 as actual MMOs, you know something's wrong. Most players just experience MMOs for the first time today, or even vets to the genre. It's safe to say they won't experience the same tavern tales that we had from our younger years. But that's a topic for another video. So here's a toast to the MMO. We will always remember you for your glory days, the memories and culture you brought millions of players like me, and we will always have a special part in our hearts section all for you. But you aren't the same anymore. You're a dead shell of your former self, and for that, may you rest in peace. Ooh, sidebar. I actually had this video coming for a really long time, since like September, but I held it off because I felt like it was just too OC for a moment. But I decided to make this video after playing EverQuest, and even like in that super old ass game, people were still like talking in like local chat and were like helping me out and everything. People like, it gave me a nostalgia trip, and I decided to write this script. And then I played MMO Legends right after that, and it it added a couple more words. But yeah, I would really love in the comment section to hear you guys' story with MMOs and like your journey with them, because this is not more or less like explaining why the MMO genre is dead, though adding some like primary sources and everything to the mix, but I just wanted to talk about my experience more or less with the MMO genre. I know some people are probably going to hop in the comments and call me a raging young new fag of why you haven't even played the game. You haven't played the main game. So yeah, please just tell me your story, and also like, comment, and subscribe if you want more content like this. I'm probably going to switch Wayne off of MMOs. I probably will still play MMOs, but I'll probably wane into more genres of video games and probably do some more experimental stuff as time goes by. But like always, this is Sondi, and it's a new year. Peace.